Welcome everybody to my best combos enabled with Phyrexia All Will Be One. I cannot promise you that all of these combos you never heard of, but what I can promise to you is that the most of these combos, if not all, you're gonna see on my channel. If you don't wanna miss them, you know what to do. But let's go straight in and check some of these amazing combos out. And the first combo must be the Archfiend of the Dross. I know many of you heard about this creature and heard about the possibilities we have enabled with it. We are talking about a combo with Hateful Handoff that just gives you the possibility to draw 4 cards and give the creature to your opponent to die. The problem with this combo is very fragile because opponent can remove the creature on the spot, but it can also be removed when the opponent has it. It can be sacrificed for more value, for example. And here is where we need to think a little bit bigger. To understand Archfiend of the Dross a little bit better, we need to read the text really precise. It is a triggered ability on your upkeep to remove the oil counter. It means the check for the oil counters happen at your upkeep, what gives us to understand that while it has 0 oil counters, if it's not your upkeep, so while your main phase or your second main or your combat phase, you will not gonna lose the game. But as soon as it's an upkeep step, the trigger happens, and then if there is 0 oil counters, we're gonna lose the game, or the player who possessed this card gonna lose the game. Here is I think where the amazing combo comes in with Gliza Sunslayer, because this creature for 3 mana gives us the ability when we deal combat damage to opponent with first strike and death touch. This is most likely to happen if opponent don't know what is coming. The last part of her choose one says remove up to 3 counters from target permanent. So up to 3 counters we can also just remove 1 or 2. So if we wanna set it up slowly, if we are not sure if we're gonna draw our Fateful Handoff, but if we have it already available, we can instantly remove all the counters and give in the second main the creature to our opponent, so in his upkeep he loses the game. Very similar possibility, but a little bit slower, we have if we add white to this color with our already existing in standard Sanctuary Warden, a 6 mana angel that says remove a counter to draw cards. This not only allows us to find our Fateful Handoff a little bit more effectively, but also removing the counters. By the time of the 6th turn it most likely will be at 2 or 1 counter already. So if we hit our Fateful Handoff, our opponent gonna lose the game. But this is not all for Archfiend of the Dross, because he is a combo machine, and the last part of him says that a lot of people overseas, whenever a creature opponent control dies, its controller loses 2 life. This is where I thought my previous video that you just saw on the channel, and if you didn't, check it definitely out. The Mardu token machine does amazing job in giving with Enganjo Uprising our opponent a lot of tokens that are forced to block. So if he's not blocking, he's gonna die anyway through the combat damage, but if he's gonna block, the creature's gonna die and it's gonna drain him for 2 life each time a creature dies, because it doesn't say a non-token creature. Doesn't matter what sort of creature the opponent controls dies, he loses 2 life. This makes this card on the top of my combo list, and I'm definitely super excited to play it and test it out, what other synergies I can find with it. My next combo card is our selfie Mayhem Dominus, a 4 mana 5/4 legendary creature that says if a non-combo damage would deal damage, it will deal double the amount of damage.
That's a lot of damage! How about a little more?
Well, you know I'm a big Junt combo fan, and you know already I have an amazing combo with Sheoldred, Obnix and our Shakedown Heavy, where we are just able to finish out the game with 21 damage if we ultimate the Obnix and let our opponent draw cards, and Sheoldred gonna drain it out. Way exactly in this constellation we're gonna replace Sheoldred, because Sheoldred is a non-synergistic card. It's not a non-combat damage. Sheoldred is draining our opponent, similar to Meathook Massacre. This damage does not count as damage, but if we replace Sheoldred with our Mayhem Dominus, it's just gonna be an amazing beautiful combo with our Shakedown Heavy, Omnix, and in combination with Mayhem Dominus we're gonna finish out the game ulting our Omnix and deal him a bunch of damage. I believe this card has many different possibilities to finish out the games in a really fun way, as early as turn 4 or 5 even maybe, because in Junk colors we have access to our fight triggering, and of course we have the possibility to cast our Zeatora the Initiator for 6 mana and fling a creature towards our opponent to deal double the amount of damage. This is definitely something I wanna try to do. The next combo is surrounded by Cacophonous Scamp, a 1 mana 1/1 Phyrexian Goblin Warrior that allow us to do some really broken things if we combine it in easy combinations with Mindling Mecha. And I'm looking here and turn 4 kill. I know there is some in Historic or Explorer possibilities where we can kill our opponent turn 2, but I think in Standard turn 4 is the earliest we can enable this combo by playing our Scamper on turn 4, crewing Mindling Mecha with it, and then with our various buffs like 1 and 2 mana spells that buffs our creature to 10, go for 10 damage, sacrifice the Mindling Mecha and deal another 10 damage to your opponent. I think this combo will be not only really fun to do, but also pretty consistent, because in easy colorations we have a lot of card filtrations and possibilities to find the right combo pieces, and we don't need many of them to just pull off it. I know some of you are really big fans of this combo. Our next combo is surrounded by the blue card that I think the most people will try to break at first in Standard, or maybe it will take some time, but we are talking about Ichor Gauntlet, a 3 mana artifact that says Planeswalker you control have 0 to proliferate, so we put a counter on everything. We can also put a counter on our Planeswalkers, and then -12, take an extra turn. I think this is not something really impactful, but then we have a little bit more. It says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, so instant, sorceries, artifact and so on, doesn't matter what we cast, we can also cast another Gauntlet. We can choose a counter on a permanent. This wording is really interesting. I think let's see what we gonna come up with it. We can choose a counter on a permanent and add an additional counter of it on top of it. So we can theoretically proliferate twice on a certain planeswalker or on a certain permanent. And here we need to think a little bit bigger. I know a lot of people think, oh, it's a dead card because yeah, you can proliferate with your planeswalker, but what then? I'm talking about our turn followed up after we play our Gauntlet. We proliferate everything until the ultimate, and then we blink our Gauntlet with various blink spells that we have for artifacts, ultimate our planeswalker, and the Gauntlet returns to the battlefield, and we get again the abilities to proliferate. I think this is something that's gonna break some standard decks, because we can proliferate our Teferi not only with drawing a bunch of cards, playing a bunch of spells, but also ultimating really fast. As early as turn 5 or 6, I believe the most planeswalker will be able to hit their ultimate and most likely win the game, because in case of Vraska, the Betrayal Sting, this is easily possible to give your opponent 9 poison counters and 10 on top of it proliferate if it's play an instant or sorcery, because the bottom part of the Ichor Gauntlet says whenever we cast a non-creature spell we can choose and put a counter on something or proliferate again. Doesn't matter how you do, I believe by turn 6 is easy possible to win with it. How exactly it's gonna work, we're gonna check out when the set is released, but trust me, I'm really excited for this one. And now let's talk about the elephant in the room, and we are talking about Venerated Rotpriest, a 1 mana 1/1 with Toxic 1 that says whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. So it can be multiple creatures and the opponent gets multiple counters. This is what a lot of people oversee, but I try to think here a little bit bigger, and I think a card that is forgotten gonna see some play in combination with Rotpriest, because I see the possibility to give our opponent instantly 10 counters. And no, I'm not talking about a combo that everybody's chewing up with Ivy to target something, to target another card in addition, although it's also possible with Ivy to just combine it. But I'm talking more about our green instant March of Bargaining Life. I know this card is already forgotten, and it's an instant spell speed that allows you to put a creature as the same one you already control on the board or your opponent onto the battlefield. This means if we have 2 Rotpriests, every of these trigger doubles, and if we combine it with our blue March, the March of Swirling Mist, this will escalate really fast, and I believe we can win with this in one turn as early as on turn 3 or on turn 4, because the March of Bargaining Life is an instant spell and we can pay for the X cost by exiling green sources. For example, another Ivy if we have too many Ivies in our hand. I think this is definitely a combo I'm gonna try to go for, not only as the most people try to pop off with Ivy, but I also want to try to have multiple Rotpriests on my board. And don't forget, if you run multiple of Bargaining Life March, then we can definitely hit it on turn 4. Turn 5 latest, I think my opponent gonna be toxic to 10. And then the last combo, and I think an interesting one, a prison combo built around Soulless Jailer, a 2-mana creature, and this plays a big role. Phyrexian Golem with a 0/4, and it says permanent cards in graveyard can and cannot enter the battlefield, and players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyard or exile. This is where I'm very excited to build with our Phyrexian that we already have in standard but has 0 to no play, and this is Urubrosk Heroic Predator, a 5-mana 4/4 haster that says at the beginning of your upkeep exile a card from the top of your library and you may play this card this turn. So it must be a creature, because if we combine it with our Soulless Jailer, we cannot play non-creature spells from the exile, but so does our opponent. It means if we hit our opponent really hard against a control opponent, we lock him out completely of the game, because Urubrosk will constantly exile his cards. He will not be able to play any instant and sorcery spells, so do not be able to remove our Urubrosk, and we can keep on popping our creatures on the board. Is this a fragile combo? Yes, but I think it's worthwhile to build around, and if we build it right, maybe with creature removals or creature-based removal, like we have an access to in Boros Coloration with Brutal Cathar, but also with our Twin Shot Sniper. I know this card is barely played, but this is a creature card that is definitely able to enter the battlefield, remove maybe an early attacker, or also being channeled for 2 mana and deal 2 damage. So we have some possibilities with Urubrosk to brewing around, and I'm definitely very excited to do so. And for now, those are all the combos I found so far. I didn't had enough time to really go into details, but I think there is much more possible, because Phyrexia ONE is a really entertaining, really amazing set. I know some people overvalue, some people undervalue it. I saw a lot of card reviews, I saw some of the early access play, but I believe the set has amazing potential to being fun for competitive people under you, but also for some jank people. And you know, I'm a little bit both of all. I like the competitive jank, I like to brew something that wins good, but is also fun to play, and we're gonna definitely do it on this channel. So if you enjoyed this combo review, or maybe if you have your other combos that I forgot to mention or I didn't, so let me know down in the comments, and maybe we're gonna see a second part of this sort of video. And if this video gets a lot of likes and a lot of traction, it costs me a lot of time to do this sort of videos, so it will be only in case if really a lot of people like this video. I'm gonna start doing it maybe for every set, where I try to find the most creative, the most entertaining combo pieces from the new set, combining with our current available cards in standard. On this spot, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Ciao!